It's great to be here. So many Node people here. It always makes me happy. So today's talk is about Node.js on Google Cloud. A little bit of information about myself. I'm a developer advocate at Google. I have a blog and Twitter. So if you have any questions about Node.js running on Google Cloud or anything I say here today, please feel free to reach out to me. Because part of my job is to basically educate people about what Google Cloud is and how Node.js works on Google Cloud. But at the same time, I like to hear from people, their experiences, if they use Google Cloud, and if what works, what doesn't work. So please let me know. This talk, I gave it in other places, and it's supposed to be 50 minutes. But here I have 20 minutes, so I will shrink it. I'll skip some parts, but hopefully I'll get across the main points. So the main goal that I want to get out of here is that what can Google Cloud do for my Node.js application? Today you have lots of choice when it comes to cloud. You have Azure, you have Amazon, now you have Google Cloud. So hosting Node.js in the cloud is not a big deal anymore. You can do it in many places. But why should you do it on Google Cloud, and what value add we give to you, basically? That's the goal that I want to answer here. The first part of the talk will be like introduction to Node.js, but I don't have to introduce that to you because you guys are all Node.js people, so we can skip that. Then I'll talk about Google Cloud a little bit, and then I'm going to show you a Hello World Node.js application and how you can put that into Google Cloud on App Engine. And then once you put that on App Engine, what do you get? You get free versioning, you get free traffic splitting. So we'll take a look at that, how that works. And then once you put your application in App Engine, it's very portable because it's a Docker image. You can take the Docker image and host it anywhere you want. So I'll talk about that a little bit. And then I'm going to show you a fun application called CloudCats. And then we're going to do live debugging and tracing on CloudCats if the Wi-Fi works. So that's the plan. All right, so I can skip this. Basically, Node.js is great, and you guys know it, we know it, so we can skip this part. Google and Node.js, actually, Google has been helping Node.js for a while indirectly. The JavaScript engine in Chrome, V8, is the same JavaScript engine that Node.js uses. So all the improvements that Google has been doing on V8 engine has been helping Node.js indirectly. Now, with Google Cloud, we are actually helping it now directly. So we are building a great environment for your Node.js application, and we are building all the managed services and APIs for you to use. So both on the client-side improvements and on the server-side improvements, we are trying to make Google Cloud the place to run your Node.js application. And at Google, we want to make this even better, so we are really committed to Node.js. So what do you have in Google Cloud? So at the top level, you have App Engine. So App Engine, you can think of it as fully managed service. So you just write your Node.js application. And it's not just Node.js. You can write your Java application. You can write your Go application. So you basically write your code and deploy it. And we take care of the infrastructure for you. So you don't have to worry about where it runs. You don't have to worry about how many machines you have. We take care of scaling it for you. So that's kind of like the easiest way to get started in the cloud. Now, at the bottom layer, we have Compute Engine. So Compute Engine is basically just VMs running in the cloud. So you have Linux and Windows VMs. So if you are used to working in VMs and you have something running in VMs and you're happy with maintaining that VM, doing the upgrades and versionings and stuff like that, then you can just take that and put it in Google Cloud, and then it will just work in Compute Engine. And then somewhere in middle, we have Container Engine. So if you already made the switch from regular apps to containers, you're going to have lots of containers, and at some point you need to maintain those containers. So there's something called Kubernetes, which is an open source project that Google supports. So we have a managed Kubernetes cluster for you to deploy your Kubernetes cluster. So that's Container Engine. So these are the options that you have. I'm going to talk about App Engine today for Node.js because it's the easiest way to get started. But I just want you to let you know that you have different options, depending on what you want to do. All right, so how do you deploy your Node.js application to Google Cloud? As I said, the easiest way is App Engine. App Engine has two flavors, standard and flexible. I won't get into details of what the difference is, but basically all you need to know is that you deploy Node.js applications on App Engine flexible environment. And let me just show you what it takes. So here I have an app. So it's basically just an Express app. If you use Express, there's Express generator where you can just create a skeleton projects. So if I did that already here before the talk. So if I started and look at it here, localhost, I think it's 3000. So it says Express, welcome to Express. There's nothing fancy about it. So if you want to take this app and push to Google Cloud, all you need to do is basically this command, gcloud. So gcloud is Google Cloud has an SDK that you install on your environment, and it comes with this tool called gcloud. So gcloud is like a command line tool to manage Google Cloud. And here, all you need to do from your application folder is gcloud app deploy, and that's it. And this will basically take your Node.js application and put it in Google Cloud. Before you do that, you basically set your gcloud with your configuration. So if I do gcloud config list, you can see that I'm in region Europe West, and I'm also, this is my account, and this is my project. So once you do that setup, then all you can do is gcloud app deploy, and that deploys. Here, I'm supplying a couple of things. I have version. So you can have, every time you deploy an application to Google Cloud, it's a new version. So here I'm calling my version 1. And then no promote says, deploy this application, but don't let it get all the traffic yet, because maybe you want to deploy your application, test it out, maybe send some of the traffic to it, but you don't want it to get all the traffic. So that's what no promote command is. So once you do this, I'm not going to do it now because I did it before the talk, and I don't trust Wi-Fi. But once you do that, you can go to what's called Google Cloud Platform Console. So let me try to make that bigger. So this is basically the main console to manage your Google Cloud projects. At the top, you have your project. So I created a GCP Next Node.js project for this talk. And then here, I have all the different apps features in Google Cloud. For example, for compute, we have App Engine, Compute Engine, Container Engine. We have storage. We have Stackdriver for testing and debugging and things like that. And we have some big data stuff like PubSub, BigQuery. But here, what we are interested in is App Engine. So under App Engine, you have a dashboard. It's pretty standard dashboard that has a bunch of different metrics like latency, all the standard things that you expect from a dashboard. But what we are interested in is the version. So we pushed a new version. So before the talk, I pushed a version called version 0. As you can see, I see it here. And it's telling me that it is getting 100% of the traffic, and then it's running on 2 instances. So by default, when you push an application to App Engine, it's running on 2 instances. But this is auto-scaled. So if you get more requests, these instances will increase to 4, 6, all the way to 20 without you having to do anything. So auto-scaling is done for you. The runtime is recognized as Node.js by Google Cloud, and the environment is flexible. So you see all your versions here. And actually, I deployed a few other versions, like, for example, blue version. So this has like a blue background and a green, that's green background. But once you have versions, you can do interesting things. Like, for example, what if you want to split the traffic between different versions? Because maybe you want to test, maybe you have a new version, like version 1, and you want to send 25% of the people there. So how do you do that? You can do this split traffic here. And let's do split traffic by cookie. And then let's say I want blue. I want green to get 25%. I want yellow to get 25%. And then I want red to get 25%. And I hit save. So now it's updating the traffic settings for my app. So it will split the traffic between blue, green, yellow, and red, 25%. So if you go back to our console, as you can see, they're getting 25%. And if I go to my app, so I think it was GCP Next. Oops, GCP Next. This is the app. Yeah, I got red. And since it's cookie traffic splitting, if I refresh my browser, it will always get red because I already have the cookie set for me. So yeah, I mean, basically, this is how you deploy. And by deploying into Google Cloud, you get versioning for free. And then with versioning, you can do interesting things like traffic splitting. So that's the basics of it. So in the next part, let's go back to my presentation. So basically, you can bring your own Node.js application. You can use any NPM modules that you already use in other places. They all work. Automatic scaling, as I mentioned, it's done for you, so you don't have to worry about like scaling yourself. Like that's automatic for you. You got version upgrades and traffic splitting. And what happens is that once you deploy your application, under the covers, what we do is we take your code and we put it in a Docker container. And then we publish a Docker container basically to the cloud. But that Docker container is fully customizable. So you can actually get access to that Docker image, and you can customize it however you want, and deploy again. So that's great because the app is really portable. So you can take the Docker image, and maybe you want to move from the Google Cloud to Amazon or somewhere else. Like, you can do that. So the fact that you're writing on App Engine doesn't really tie you to App Engine. It's a Docker image at the end of the day, and you can move it to wherever you want. So this is our app now, the Hello World app. So we have the browser and the app engine. But normally, our applications are much more complicated than this, right? So our applications are pretty much like this usually. So you have the browser, you have the app engine as the front end, but you usually need some kind of backend. So in the backend, maybe you use a container engine running a Kubernetes cluster. To talk with the front end and the backend, you need some kind of messaging for loosely coupled services. So you use PubSub that Google Cloud provides. So maybe from container engine, you want to do some machine learning. So maybe you have some images and you want to classify them. So you can use Vision API that Google Cloud provides. And you need to save those images to somewhere, so you can use cloud storage. And then maybe you need MongoDB, so you can host it in Compute Engine. So you have all these options available to you. But how can you use all of this from your Node.js app? All you have to do is basically npm install gcloud. Gcloud is an npm module that basically gives you access to all these services via APIs. So for storage, you have cloud storage, data store, Cloud SQL, Bigtable. We have a bunch of big data stuff like BigQuery, Data Lab, PubSub. I'm not going to get into them now because I don't have time. But then there's high-level APIs like Vision, Translate, machine learning. So all of this becomes immediately available to you by just installing this gcloud npm module. So I just want to make you aware that they exist, and there are APIs and services in Google Cloud for that. All right, so in this part, I want to show you a fun application so that I can show you all these services. So the application is, it's not written by me, it's written by our product manager, Justin Beckwith. He's in the US. So he's a Reddit user, and he was looking at this Reddit channel where there's like cute pictures of cats and dogs. And he was wondering whether there are more cat pictures or dog pictures here. So he said, oh, why don't I write an app to see what's the case? So he wrote this app called Cloud Cats, and this is his cat. So when I hit plus here, what will happen is that the app will go to Reddit, pull those images, and then classify them as cat or dog, and then count them, and then in the end, we'll see which one wins, like either cats or dogs. So let's start that. Hopefully it will work. Once we see one image, we know that it works. Yes. All right, so cats are going to be here, and dogs are going to be on the right. So this is pulling the images live from Reddit. And as it's pulling them, it pulls them, it saves them into cloud storage in Google Cloud, and then it's using Vision API to classify the image as. Yeah. Dogs win, yes. Usually, out of 10 times, dogs win. One time I think I've seen cats win, and then sometimes there's a tie, but usually there are more dog pictures than cat pictures. So if you look at this app, I mean, it's still a little app. It's a fun app, but when you think about it, like, even though it's simple, you have to go and read the images. You have to save them somewhere. Then you have to classify them. I mean, you have to do some kind of machine learning on it. You can try to write them yourself, or you can try to use some kind of module, but it's not that easy. So how do we do that in Google Cloud? Let me just show you the pieces that we use to build this. Go back to my slide. So the pieces that we use, again, we have the browser and we have the App Engine front end. In App Engine, you can basically split your application into microservices. So we have the front-end web module, and we have the back-end worker module. The worker module goes to Reddit, pulls the images, saves them to cloud storage. So it's a fully managed cloud-based storage for binary data in Google Cloud. Once it's saved there, you can use Vision API to actually classify those images as cats and dogs. And then once you have the classification, you can use PubSub, which is like a messaging. It's kind of like Kafka and JMS, basically, but it's cloud-based. So you can use that and push the classification to the topic, and then the front end gets that and sends it back to the browser. So that's how it works. So all the pieces that you need is there, basically. So what we covered is that basically we have the app engine, we have the tools and libraries, and all the APIs and services ready for you. But for me, the most exciting part is how do you maintain this stuff? Because as I was running this application, I didn't write it. I was running into some problem. Let me just show you the code real quick. So the code, can you see that? So the code, we have the web module and the worker module. And under web, there was a class called getRelay that had some kind of message somewhere, yeah, here, that wasn't right. And it was giving me some kind of garbage. And for you to debug something like this, usually, what you need to do is you need to change your code, maybe add like a console.log statement to it, and then see what gets logged. And then hopefully it contains the information that you need. And if it doesn't, then you have to add more log statements. So it's always a hassle to debug something like this. But if you put this in Google Cloud, what you can do is you can actually push your code to a private repository in Google Cloud. So I pushed the code here. So it's the same code that we're looking, but we are looking at it from developer console. And then what you can do is go to getRelay, put a breakpoint. So now it's waiting for that breakpoint to be hit. And it's saying here, waiting for snapshot. And then I can go back to my app. And let's refresh. So if I hit plus, now at some point, the breakpoint is going to be hit. So as you can see, the breakpoint is hit right now, and I can see the message. And I can look at the data, and I didn't have to change any of the code. This is done automatically for me. And the only thing that I had to do is in my code, if you look at my code, at the server, I included this Google Cloud debug statement. That's all I did. So by including that, and by pushing my code to Google Cloud repository, I get this free debugging. And it saves me a lot of time because I don't have to change code. I can just put breakpoints, and it's inactive breakpoints. So the actual app itself is already running, but once it's hit once, I have the context, and I can look at it, and I can debug it. And the last thing I want to show you is, so this is great because I can debug stuff, and I can look at the state of the variables. But one of the hardest problems to deal with in production is performance problems. So what if your app is slow? You know it's slow, but you don't know where it's slow. So how do you debug that? You usually need to instrument your code again. You need to put log statements. You need to look at the logs and try to figure out where the problem is. And usually it's kind of like an iteration kind of thing. But again, we have something called stack driver trace. So to enable that, you need to go to your code and just add this statement, basically. So this says, or just enable my application for tracing. And then you can go to this trace list. And this basically is the /go is the actual URL that gets called when I hit that plus. So I can click on that. And now it's telling me that the /go takes about 7 seconds. And underneath that, I can see all the calls that's being made, all the HTTP calls it's being made from your application. So I can see that I'm pulling images from Reddit Media. And after that, I'm calling storage. So I'm saving the images to Google Storage, Cloud Storage. And then after that, I'm calling the Vision API to classify the images. So from this top level, I can drill into all the calls that my application is making and see how long they take. So this really helps because you don't have to guess anymore. From one call, it breaks down all the calls, and you can see exactly where the time is being taken. So that's pretty much it. Let me go back to my presentation. Yeah, so all the stuff that I showed today, I tried to make it quick so that we don't run out over time, but all those samples and all the libraries are open source. They're here. And if you hit me on Twitter or send me an email, I can also point you to the right repositories. So yeah, that's it. I think we are trying to make Google Cloud the best place to run your Node.js application, and hopefully you give it a try, and let me know if you run into any problems. Thanks.